Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday, and we are live at the Connected Corner. Hello, everybody. I know it's been a little while since you've seen us. I'm trying to get it. Since you've seen us, but we're back with you today. It's a new month, and tonight we are going to talk about what's happening now in the school system. But before we begin, again, it's the Connected Corner with your girl Kiana B. Jones and
I'm Claire Rose Connected. Hey, y'all.
hey everybody. So uh today we've seen the post, we've seen everything happening. We are back to school 2020. And what an adventure has been for many. And so we want to talk about that tonight. Talk about your experiences in going back to school. We want to hear from your parent, from the parents, from the educators, everyone out there. How are you feeling today? You've had a little time since the school day ended to decompress, to think about how today went. I've seen all the wonderful posts of just everybody with their students, areas that they set up, the nice, must say the girls had like the best little setups with all their decorations and everything that they had. So that was really cool to see that parents, were ready for today. It's a different start to the year with it being virtual learning because of COVID. And so we want to talk about your experiences today with technology. How did your students do? How did they feel? Again, like communicate with us, okay? So we want to hear from you. We want to hear your posts. We want to hear your concerns. So comment below during our discussion. And Ms. Corey Rose.
So I'm reposting on my Facebook. We will call you out.
All right.
So just kind of tell us about your first day of school. I think that so far, like Kiana said, everything that I saw was relatively positive. I think that one comment that kind of was a little disturbing was from a teacher friend who said, like parents be kind to the teachers. And so I think by now everybody should be being kind to everybody. So if there's anybody who wants to tune in and tell us about your personal stories, tell us what the great highlights were, what maybe are some things that you could have done differently, or maybe even the school district could have done differently, let us know.
And so, yeah. And so what some of the things, if you guys see that we are not in the studio, so let's let's just call that out. And so while we're waiting for comments and things, let's just talk about August was rest month, and we were vacationing, but not vacation, just vacationing from having to go in the studio, having to do all the show prep type of things and all of that. But as far as myself, I'm like actually on vacation now. So I'm like on vacation, but not on vacation. And we're not in the studio.
I was just gonna say, yo, we weren't in the studio.
We're not in
I
the
ain't on
studio.
vacation.
She ain't on vacation.
I was bright and early at Baltimore City at my laptop like this. And so again, let us know what your experiences have been. Do you have students, children, neighbors that have gone back to school? What have you experienced? What are some of the things that maybe you even have a concern about? Have you noticed the COVID numbers? COVID numbers are going up every day in Baltimore City. And do you think that the district made the right decision? I know in some other states, we have family in other states. The children had the option to go back to school. I know that, some of my family members said, yeah, we're going to send them back. We're going to pray over them, put a mask on them and kick them out the door. That was initially what they thought. But then this morning there was some fear. So what are you guys feeling? What are you thinking? What is your experience? We want to hear from you.
I'm sorry. I was
forgot we right. I'm like, okay.
that we was on the show. So I will say, from an educator, well, I know for me, like as I was called out today, one of our family members said, "Oh, I must really be sick." Because this is my second year of not having to do like back to school things. Since we graduated in 2019. So, fall of 2019, and now we're in fall of 2020. But still for me, it was like I'm the PTSD is real with beginning of school. And I will say that I do not envy those parents right now who are dealing with this transition. I am glad that it is not something necessarily I would have to deal with. Not that we couldn't have did it. I know for my kids when they were younger, we had like a little area set up in the summer. They had like, we had a table set up, the 6-foot table, having multiple children. Blended family, we had the computer set up and they had an area to do their schoolwork. But I know right now, like transitioning, for students, for some it's been easier than others. And so I don't envy those parents who themselves had to deal with the technology divide because they are not familiar with technology and Google Classrooms and all of the different things that their students had to use. And there, was a post from a parent saying how they were overwhelmed with just, having multiple children and having all these different things to log into. And so it's not just about the children. I mean, most children this day that's in school came up with some type of technology in their face, a phone, a tablet. And so the students, it's not that they can't use the computer, those things, but it's also the transition for the parents. And unfortunately, for some of the educators and teachers who have not been implementing technology in their classrooms, as it should have been.
With a critical bone. We've had 6 months. Like you give me 6 months to prepare for anything, I'll be prepared. If this were March or April, May or June, I had a lot more empathy because I understood that most of us were still struggling to get things in place. But in March, when we weren't expecting the pandemic, and then in April, when we realized, wow, you may not be able to even get a laptop because even of the unrest between the president and China and the trade wars and all of these things. But in 6 months, if you couldn't figure out how to put a card table in a corner for your child, I don't really have that much empathy. I mean, just honestly, I feel like we figure out how to make things happen. That's the beauty of being parents. And I'm not talking about parents who can't afford internet or can't afford computers. And even in that, those parents, there's been so many free things given, free laptops, free hotspots, free internet. COVID relief is still, an extension. Joshua wanted to be able to be a little more responsible and pay his own Wi-Fi bill. And so he has his own little $9 Wi-Fi a month. And so, I'm not really leaning into we weren't prepared. We had 6 months. Now, does it mean that every student is not being disenfranchised? I'm not saying that at all. I think that the students who are on IEPs, the students who have special needs, the parents who have multiple children, of course, there's some challenges. But 6 months to find a table to put in the corner, or you're not gonna tell me. Nah. And some of my friends will say, "Oh my goodness, I forgot. I know I can call them and have crepes tonight." And they'll find a table and put it in the corner.
Bring that card table
out. So
set it up. I saw something really interesting. One of a Facebook friend had. It looked like maybe they set up the kids in like the basement area or a family room. Looked like the basement, but they did the TRIFO, like the science project things, and each of them
had that cubicle.
Had that cubicle, and I thought that was ingenious. I love creativity. I was like, oh my gosh, I would have did something like that. Having 3, 4 children in the house, school age, I would most certainly. Everybody had their own area. You're not distracted by your sister over here, because they literally had like their little cube set up. So I thought that was ingenious. I love that idea. Share with us some of your photos and your ideas, things that you did to make it, interesting and creative for your students. And then the parents, what about those who had to manage like going to work? So do you not go to work? Are you working from home? How are you dividing the space between you working from home and your students now working from home? What does that look like? Some of those different things that people have to deal with. I can say that for me right now, the school year has started. I've opted not to do virtual teaching right now. I mean, it was cool at the end of the year. It was a little challenging. But I commend those educators and teachers that have decided to stay in the classroom. I know for some, they were doing an exodus out, not, it being unsure of what the school year was going to look like. But I will say from what I heard today, with some of the Baltimore City, I got, back in view to listen to my little cousin / nephew with his teacher today, and I just have to give a hand clap. I did. I have to give a hand clap to Baltimore City today, and whether specifically his school, but actually even my sister, when I've had good feedback from my family that is in Baltimore City public schools. More good, sorry, Baltimore County, than
Baltimore County had the kids sitting outside
out the schools
on the lawns trying to get connected today. That's a real thing. There were several students across the district who had to go up to the schools, sit outside, connect through the VPN outside of the building. But so since you brought up Baltimore City, I'm going to read this really quickly. It says www.baltimorecityschools.org. It's the official website of Baltimore City. One of the things that everyone says, how can I get access to the internet? So if you don't have internet in your house, if you still are in need of hotspots and things like that, you can definitely find the information there. So city schools, along with community partners, are committed to providing multiple pathways for students without in-home internet access to get the support they need. The district has taken 3 key steps. The first is T-Mobile hotspots. So even I know at our school, I had a parent today ask, do we still have T-Mobile hotspots? I answered her question with no judgment. I will say this, when you are in a deficiency or you are in a situation of lack and you understand that you will be at the mercy of other people, please don't wait to the last minute. Like, jump up, get the resources you need. We are literally mailing things to our students and making sure that our students are getting their resources to their door. It's contactless. And so city schools will distribute a limited number of free wireless internet hotspots to traditional school students. I don't work at a traditional school. I work at a charter school. And so again, some of that education, you have to then say to the parent, like, you do know that your junior, who's been here from freshman, sophomore, now junior year, goes to a charter school. Again, not in judgment all the time, but we need to take accountability and understand the school structure that your child is attending, because funding is important and funding makes a difference in times of emergency. When it comes down to what kind of resources you're going to have. Another thing is Comcast has Internet Essentials, that program. So you have $9 a month. They even have opportunities. You get into the program, and for COVID relief, I think you might get a month or 2 free. And through Internet Essentials, you can also get a laptop at almost nothing. It's like $99. The other thing I wanted to talk about was mesh networks. So a mesh network proof of concept is underway in 4 neighborhoods. So mesh networks allow a group of internet connected devices to act as a wireless router. So if you have your PlayStation, your cell phone, your tablet, and one computer in the house, you will get this free mesh device, and it would take the Wi-Fi from all 4 of those devices and allow any other device in your house to be connected to it. And so it takes the capability of 4 devices and turns it into one mesh of wireless connectivity. This is extremely good for people who have multiple children, right? And so, so just so you guys know, the website is baltimorecityschools.org. I also want to point out that most of our children have PS4s, right? So if your kid has a PS4, guess what? They can log on to Google Classrooms from their PS4s. They can submit their work from their PS4. And so they can get to Infinite Campus, Blackboard, Class Dojo, Dreambox, all of those things right from their PS4s. And so I, again, commend Baltimore City Schools for being so proactive and saying, what is it that our students could potentially have in their homes? Well, if they have Wi-Fi, they don't have a computer, but they're on PlayStation 4 because they're on Roblox or I almost said Ninjago. What is that thing he plays? No, it's Fortnite. He's playing Fortnite. Guess what? He can go to Google Classrooms right on his PlayStation 4. So I want to give that to you guys as well.
That is really good. That's good information.
I be trying.
So hi Yolanda, hi Eric. Thank you. Hey. So tell us about your students' first day of school, drop photos. How did you set up for virtual learning? All of those great things. And it's honestly, we're in a technology age, and I know here for U.S. schools, we are behind some of counterparts work when we're talking about world, right? Not just
right, United States versus China.
Yeah. And so I think that sometimes things happen, such as what's going on now, to really wake up people and understanding like where we need to be.
Yeah.
Where our students need to be. There's no reason for anyone to go to college, or in the workforce in this day and age and not understand a docking station or, how to work from home or what to do or how to do anything virtually, because that is the time that we are in, not even going to, but we've been there for some time. There's been plenty of organizations and companies that have been ahead of the game who have been doing the, remote working and distant working for 2 or 3 days a week because, we want to help the environment. We want to do that. So those were some of the ways that we can help the environment is people not driving to work 5 days a week, and polluting the air. And so some companies and people have been, ahead of the game and forging for people working from home remotely for a couple of days a week. And so our students need to get accustomed to that.
Most certainly. One of my favorite companies, Amazon. I'm going to give you guys, again, we try to always, Kiana and I, give you news and resources you can actually use. So Amazon, if you are receiving EBT, so any kind of food stamps or SNAP benefits, you can use that on Amazon. So you can actually order right from Amazon.com, pay with your EBT card, have it delivered to your home. And I hear somebody saying, well, what about the shipping? Well, you can sign up for Amazon Prime, which gives you free shipping. And because you're using an EBT card, your Prime would only be $5.99 a month. And so, girl, $5.99 a month, honey.
And so $7.99 a month. I mean, it works. I mean, I definitely benefit from it. $5.99, that's real good.
$5.99. So yeah, $5.99. And then that means that if you order food all throughout the month, all you'll pay in shipping is $5.99. And so connect your EBT card right there onto Amazon. Amazon has been an extreme partner, especially in the school systems across our country throughout this COVID time. So I think we're just going to continue to drop little nuggets that you guys could potentially use.
Yeah. So what else?
What else do I know? Let me think.
So Tori is sample facts.
All right, so we talked about Amazon allowing you to use your EBT, and it's $5.99 a month. We talked about Comcast and Internet Essentials, and you can get internet for $9.99. Let me think. Oh, we talked about the PlayStation 4 being used for classes in schools. How about food distribution sites? There's 86 food distribution sites across the city now. So that means if you know that there's a child in your community who really was going to school, or maybe your own child had to go to school because of the food, listen, I need you to go there and eat. Right. Some days I would say to my son, you can't hold it until I drop you off, because he eats $96 a week in food. And that's just, when he's not ripping and running and metabolism on 100. And so if you know that you, your family, or your neighbor, children in your community need food, there's 86 food distribution sites.
And those are within the school system,
schools, recs, all of that. Yep. I actually do have one other. So let's say if you have a family that has a lot of children, and they say, like, this child needs to be out the house and at like a computer somewhere else. There is a see if I can find it real quick while we're on this live here. There is a resource. There's a work center. Oh, and I can shout out Emerge. So the Emerge Work Center, Emerge Mental Health, right there on Pennsylvania Avenue. If you're at the market at Pennsylvania Lawrence, it's right across the street. So I can pull the address up. But Emerge Mental Health, they're going to be setting up so kids can come there and do their homework and log on there as well. So it's about 20 kids. You got to go to Emerge, go in, sign in, but everything's COVID clean and all of that. So I think that's all I got for right now.
Oh, you was did y'all have one? So can you share that?
Oh yeah, let me see. Let me find it. So thank you again for Baltimore City for providing us.
Is there anybody in Baltimore County talk about
that county? All right, so listen, guys, Baltimore City is offering the Student Learning Center. So this year, city schools and recs and parks are teaming up to offer 15 in-person student learning centers across the city. This is now going to be centers that are equipped with on-site tech and social distancing measures. Students will have a chance to bridge the digital divide. Spaces are limited because we want to make sure that we're keeping the space, the 6 feet distance, and that we are in an alliance with the CDC. But I will give you all that link too. That again is www.baltimorecity.schools.org. But this is where it gets tricky. You're going to do a little /. It can look like this. I can't find my camera. / S as in student, L as in learning, center, C as in center. So SLC fall 2020 / so .org, BaltimoreCity.org. 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 BaltimoreCity.org, no spaces. BaltimoreCitySchools.org, / SLC fall 2020. That's a backslash. And then BaltimoreCitySchools.org. All right, so I'm gonna read it one more time. Student Learning Centers, this year city schools and recs and parks are teaming up to offer 15 in-person student learning centers across the city. And that means that these city locations are equipped with on-site tech and social distancing measures. Students will have a chance to bridge the digital divide. And spaces are limited. So sign your kids up. Try to get them signed up if you can right now. As soon as you get off of this live with us, hit the link and sign your kids up. I mean, who knows? A lot of times there's resources out here. Parents are not taking advantage of them. We don't always know what's out there. But again, the Connected Corner, we try to give you news and resources you can actually use.
And so that's interesting, like we said. I mean, all of the resources that we've been talking about, with this going back to school virtually, has in Baltimore City. And so I know, we were having that discussion about different school systems and her having that experience with 3 different school systems, with, transitioning and kids transitioning. So Anne Arundel County, Baltimore County, and Baltimore City. And they actually saying, and I've heard this continuously, is that Baltimore City has the best resources for their students. So I'm a product of Baltimore City Schools, although I taught and my teaching experience was predominantly in Baltimore County. And even then, my students understood that I was from Baltimore City.
Like, where you from?
And so, and saying that it's always this, the negative language that we get or the negative rap that Baltimore City Schools get. But if you really understand what is happening in the school system and what kids are getting, some of these other counties, it's a facade. I will say that it is better or the kids are getting more. So I think definitely I've heard that continuously, that Baltimore City has more resources out there for their students. And and so if your students are in Baltimore County schools or any other county, Anne Arundel, Howard, across the state, drop in the comments, even after the show, for those who are watching or want to watch the replay. As you're going through, drop the resources in here, because we want people to have the resources regardless of what school district they're in. So if you are in other school districts, please feel free to drop the websites, to drop the resources, because across the state, students are going to school virtually, and so they need to know what's out there for them. And so please do us that favor, be neighborly, be communal, and drop the resources in the counties that you are and where your students are.
Most certainly. And I think what happens is, I know I used to do this when I was teaching in Baltimore County. I would look at other systems to see what they were offering, and I would see if I could bring it back to my school. And so it may sound like we're leaning in the favor of Baltimore City. We're extremely proud of the district. But if there's something that you hear and you say, wow, I wonder if my school district or my child's school is doing this, go back and ask that question. And then you're armed with the information to say, hey, do we have something that's comparable to this?
Right.
I was going to try to read this to y'all in Spanish, but I don't really know. I mean, I'm learning and building, but let me see if I can get this one paragraph. Y'all ready? All right. Este año, las escuelas de la ciudad y recs and parks se unan para ofrecer 15, which is BAC5, centros y aprendizaje para estudiantes en persona en toda la ciudad. And so that just for any Spanish teachers or Spanish people who are out there, it basically said this year we're offering the same student learning centers, but we want to make sure that we're bridging the language divide as well. I'm working on it. Yo,
I downloaded my Rosetta Stone because I hate going when we visit. I still get to eat.
Right.
I really do need to brush up
So
on my Spanish.
when ella is in places that hablamos español solamente, she is like Google Translate. And so we're doing better with making sure that our family is bridging even the language. So,
See.
and so, okay, moving on to the next thing. I want to say thank you to anybody and everybody who connected with me today. I did have a 10th grade student who had to start her school year, kind of disheveled, right? We think about the beginning of the school year, we think about the beginning of the summer, almost like how we think about Christmas. Like it should be perfect. We should be able to go in with no issues and no stress. But one of my students, her family, she and her family, they lost everything in a house fire. She has 8 younger siblings. 5 of them are school age. That means her mother has 6 school age children and has lost all of their possessions. So to anyone and everyone who reached out to me today to say, how can we help? How can we stand in the gap? Who was able to send a digital gift card, or who was able to, even connect to the parent. Thank you, thank you, thank you a million times over. Your seed, your blessing, your help, no matter how great or how small, is definitely appreciated. So thank you for that.
Thank you everyone for that. And again, if you have any comments on discussion, comment on how your students' first day of school went, how are you dealing with going back to school virtually? I also want to give a shout out and congratulations to those my nieces and nephews, those who are starting middle school and high school. Time is flying for everyone, and so we were laughing today in our family group chat. We have, actually, it's just you and anything. Y'all are the only ones right now with school age students, and so even with that, it's like, wow, wait a minute, we don't have that many left that are school age right now, and so just congratulations to those who are embarking upon a new era in their schooling and their education, starting middle school and high school. Is exciting. And I'm sure like this year was, you're starting new in middle school and high school and you're doing it virtually, like you're going to be ready for the world. Like if anything else, this class of even 2019, because I think about class of 2019, your freshman year, your freshman year of college, you have had to face these challenges. And so a lot of them are going to get reset, especially for those athletes and those things. We'll get a reset. It'll be freshman year all over again for you. But for those who are starting new in this time, we definitely want to commend you.
I'm going to actually see if I can get the Prince to bring me this additional resource. I want to share. So the Prince started 6th grade. Listen, y'all, if you don't think who you are as a child surfaces and comes back and bites you in the blippity blip. Yeah. So let me see if I can share this resource. Prince. He's deliberately ignoring me. Prince. All right.
Come here. Trying to peek.
Right, Prince. Hand me that book, please. Come here. Get up. Hand me the 6th grade. So for all of the parents out there who may be having some concern, right? Because we know, especially Maryland State standards, that children are still going to be tested. They're still going to be expected to be able to reach certain benchmarks. I want to just show you guys one of the resources that I was able to get. And this was a book that I was stalking down. And at the teacher store, I was stalking it down. Some of us might feel like, oh, she's an educator. She knows where to get it. Listen, what I tell y'all my favorite store was Amazon, right? I was trying to see if this. So on Amazon, I got this book. It's called Brain Quest. It's for the 6th grade workbook. I got this book for $12 on Amazon. If I had gone to my teaching store to get the same book, it would have been $56. And so $12. And what it is a whole year curriculum based of exercises and activities. I'm going to say this. Be the parent that you wish you had. My mother, when I went to Bedlow Elementary, I went to Samuel F.B. Morris. My mother worked 3 to 11. So that meant that she could be there in the daytime. She was all up in my business. You know, regardless, I didn't live with her. I lived with her parents, but she was there reading books. She was there asking questions. She was there making copies. And so, guys, be the parents that you wish you had. I mean, it's all kinds of, just put it up there. It's all kinds of fun stuff. There's math, there's reading, there's comprehension. And guess what? If you're not a Common Core type of person, that is okay. It also has old school plots and graphs for the parents so that we can understand how to really kind of bridge the gap, right? So you may have to lay the foundation for your child. And people say, well, I don't have time between cooking and cleaning and, you know, all of that. Guess what? 30 minutes a day.
Yeah.
30 minutes a day. If your child is not worth 30 minutes a day, just sit one day and think about how irritated you're going to be when they're living in your basement at 35 with their baby mother.
Take 30 minutes a day,
right.
So they're not living in your basement at 30.
At 30 tomorrow, right. And so this was one of the things that additional resource. He had a summer book, and you know, we worked through his summer book. This is the book that we're going to target for the fall. Mm-hmm. And then I'll come back and I'll see where he is and where he's measuring. And guess what? Maryland is still an old school state where you can have your child test and mail in a test. Remember that back in the day? Mm-hmm. You can mail in a test and see where your child is averaging. Why is that important? That is important because COVID will not last forever, right? In a year or 2 years, for anybody with children, grandchildren, or a child you love that you know, you do not want that child then not to be able to get into the high school that you had planned for them to get into, for them not to be able to test. School choice is still a real thing, which means that you will have scores that dictate where your child gets to go. Right. And so we don't know in this state with this Republican governor if there's going to be any kind of concessions given to COVID or testing. And so go get yourself a $12 book. We spend more than $12 in Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. And for those parents who, you know, like we said, for time, schedule, I had three in three different schools and three different grade levels. And so scheduling and consistency is important. And so when it comes to school, and it's not just from being an educator, teacher, I mean, I was a parent before I was a teacher. And so you need to have consistency for them and a schedule. And so they, you know, even with sports and football and all the things that, you know, my kids were involved in, having a schedule was important and them understanding that school came first. And so for those who have busy lives, because we definitely had a busy life, if that meant even reading in the car, playing things in the car, you know, now everybody has Bluetooth and those different things that you have in your vehicles, even while you are in transition to practices or whatever it is that you may have going on, you can still use that time as a learning time for them as well. And so just, you know, keeping that in the forefront and scheduling to make sure that they're getting in their schoolwork and their reading and that time to help. And we had homework time. And so even as a parent who had to cook and clean and was maybe had been in school myself at the time or texted at that time, they knew that like by this time, my time for them where homework help and reading time was, you know, that 7 to 8 hour, you know, whatever that was to divide up. And so
and she didn't say 7 or 8 hours. She was almost
7 to 8 p.m.
That 1 hour.
Yeah, was the time for homework help, for anything that you needed, for, you know, our time to spend together to make sure that homework was done and checking and all of those things. And so we, you know, we had that schedule. And so there was, you know, no reason for things not to get done, no matter how busy we were. We still wanted to make sure that
we give a shout out to Yolanda Jones, who was one of the hardest working moms.
Oh my goodness, you're talking about football and soccer and dance, all of that.
Acknowledge you. Thank you so much for your comment. Yes, we heard that Baltimore County has caused a lot of headache. I know some people who have been trying to unenroll their children and to withdraw their children who have not been able to get through for weeks. And so what I will say to those parents is continue to email, continue to bombard the phone lines, but also just keep a very good list of documentation, right? So if you're emailing, it's a paper trail. I will also say breathe. And I don't know if the parents are taking the time to kind of namaste, to woosah, to be centered. This is a time that anxiety is high anyway, right? There's so many shifts that are happening. And so breathe. If you need something from the school, don't worry, you will get it. And guess what? Because of the COVID concessions, they will have to go back and honor whatever the request is, especially because your governor has started to reopen and has plans for opening schools. So you'll have to be vigilant in holding them accountable.
Yes.
That was really PC. I'm proud of myself. God is good, y'all. He working on my tongue. Because I know how that was going to end. Right, your mother nudged me. I'm good. My shirt say, "Girl, you got this."
Yeah, you got
I
it.
got this.
And we all have it. We definitely got it. This is a time to pull together, as a community, as family, support one another, support the students, in your family that may need help. All of that, like just pulling together. But I think this time is needed. Like we have to understand where things are going, and our students have to compete on a global level.
Yeah.
And they need to be prepared for that. So as much challenging or as challenging these times may be, getting adjusted to virtual learning and all of this technology, it is very much needed for them to be able to compete on a global level. As I would tell my students, especially I love teaching high school, is that understand, like you're sitting here now, if they wasn't paying attention, you are not just learning this for the 30 or 20 something people in your classroom. Talking about college, talking about education, talking about even the workforce and the things that you want to do, whether it's going into the military, whatever it is, understand that you are competing on a global level. You have to think big and not small. You have to think beyond the walls of your classroom, beyond the walls of your school building, beyond the walls of your state. The country. I try to encourage my kids, just like we have foreign exchange students. I was trying to encourage my own children to go to school in another country. You want to go to London or Britain to go to college? That is a possibility. It's no different. I know we say like, oh, people come here, to the States, to this country, to go to school and to do those things. Well, guess what? You have that opportunity. University started not here in the United States. Now, community college is what people look at in other countries based on what we are the pioneers for community colleges. But for university, the Oxford, those places, it didn't start in the United States. And so our students have an opportunity to also go abroad to go to school as well.
I was looking for the updated COVID numbers as you were talking. I mean, you're making some really, really good points, as you always do.
Thank you.
I want to make sure I want to make sure that as people are going about their lives, I had a really I was gonna make a crappy joke. I'm gonna just go ahead and make it. There was a party.
What is one of our shows without one of your corny jokes?
Well, there was a party over the weekend, and everybody, a lot of people went. I'm happy that people went. That was great. Many of you guys look good. Some of y'all look like sorbet, but some of y'all look like sherbet. And I was like, oh, child, that's sherbet. But when I see parties, and even when we have to go out, like I have really been off the radar. I know several people who have had COVID. I now know a few people who have died from COVID. And so if you're like, where's Tori? I'm staying in the house. That's where I am. So I have a small child. I also have a very new niece. I have other people's babies who at times have to be dropped off to me. And so I'm making the decision to stay healthy and to stay the heck away from COVID cases. But our Baltimore City cases are now at 14,994. And that doesn't sound right.
Baltimore City?
That's just Baltimore City, but it doesn't sound right when we had over 800 new cases just recently. So I'm trying to find actual link, but I'm gonna give you guys this one, Maryland.gov. Make sure you're checking that out, Maryland.gov. Also, COVID link. And so what they're now trying to do is contact tracing. It's a contact tracing initiative. It's a way that they keep everyone safe. What I will say is this, they want to know if you have been exposed to COVID, if you had COVID, and if you are a COVID survivor. And so can you imagine having something? I know a coworker of mine shared with me that he's had COVID twice. And so even in the line of work that we're in, where we're dealing with children, we're dealing with the public, it's easy to say, oh, I'm just running to school real quick. Right. But you don't know what risks you could be coming into. You don't know who you could be putting in risk and that type of thing. And so what this COVID link is attempting to do is really just like gather information from the people who have had it, who have survived it, also to potentially see if there are antibodies that they can receive from those people, right? And so that's up to you. I'm not going to tell you whether or not I agree or disagree. I will just say that there is a link out there, and there's a phone number I'll give you if you're looking for like Maryland COVID help. If you don't have call ID on your phone, or if you need this number, it's 240-466-4488. It looks like a bill collector. If you see that number, answer it, because they may be telling you that you have been around someone who tested positive and that person listed your name. And so it's 240-466-4488. Now I remember it's like 4488, aggressive. It's like it doubled. That's COVID. And it's 4488. Yeah, I'm married. I have to remember those little mnemonic devices. One other thing, what is contact tracing? Contact tracing is the process of identifying people who may have come in contact with an individual with this infectious disease. The process involves identifying infected people, determining who they have been in close contact with while infectious, and asking people who are potentially infected to stay home until it is clear and they are not sick. Now, I want to go ahead and clear it up. I did not say anybody at Sorbet or that looked like Sherbert had COVID. That is not what I said. I'm just talking about people who are making the decision to go into groups of people. And it is a risk. And it's a risk anytime you come outside your house. And so y'all won't be like Tori said, y'all got Sorbet and Sherbert. I ain't say that.
Yeah, because I would like to go out. I got those who know, the Queen birthday is coming. And as I was talking to one of my friends today, I'm like, what am I going to do?
Every October, the whole world has to stop.
What am I going to do? But
you're going to live to see 46.
Yeah, I am.
45, 46, 47 by making the decisions not to go out now.
Yeah, so most certainly. So I know that, people want to enjoy themselves. People want to, get back to quote whatever their normal is. But we have to evolve as people and think of new ways to have fun and new ways to enjoy ourselves and come up with something different. Right?
Can I show an appropriate personal question? Do you have diarrhea right now?
No.
You don't have diarrhea?
No, I do not.
It has been reported that many people who have had extreme cases of diarrhea lately have also tested positive for COVID. We didn't know. There wasn't an original side effect or symptom, but extreme new diarrhea. If you got diarrhea, it's like, what did I eat? What happened? You could have COVID. Yeah, so diarrhea and sore throat have been added to the list of potential COVID symptoms. So if you got the boopies, you might want to go get yourself tested.
But I have been tested at least once, and my test was negative.
Baby.
So, so for me, I try to keep around those people who I know I've been around, and I'm still testing negative as opposed to exposing myself to new people. But, and again, having, those needed conversations with friends and family is not about like living in fear or anything like that. And I know people say, oh, well, people doing this, they biking, this, that, why can't schools open? And so you really have to think logically, you have to think about what that looks like. I don't know who has taught or been in a school, but I have taught in high schools. And the minimum number of students in the high schools that I have taught in, which has been four or five high schools that I've taught in, is 1,200.
Oh yeah. Well, luckily,
that's just the student body. That doesn't include the 180 to 200 staff, but just the student body when you're talking about a high school, and that's on a daily basis. And so, and the last high school I was at had several cases, and
someone died.
And so that in itself, like, I'm good.
And even with this decision, so I switched schools. I'm still in Baltimore City system, but I chose a school that has less than 400 students on purpose. Like, if there's a time that I have to go back in, can it be like a little bit of COVID? Not a lot of it,
A lot of it.
Loss of taste and smell have been the number one symptoms that a lot of people say I can't smell, I can't taste. But let me tell you the downfall in that. If you look now, thank you, Yolanda, for that comment. And hey, Danielle, we love you. And we wish you an amazing school year. What I will say about this, every single year, I lose my smell and taste because of my allergies, right? I increase magnesium and sulfate levels in my body. I lose my smell and taste. So now if you look at a lot of what the CDC is putting out, they're saying new loss of smell and taste. They're using that word because we have people like me getting stuck every week, like, oh my God, oh, do it again, do it again, do it again. Hey, ooh, do it again, do it again.
Right.
And it was just a sinus effect. So, hey, Lala, we appreciate you. Lala got a new grandbaby. Is either on the way or almost there. Congratulations. And so,
I'm sorry, y'all. I keep doing. Look, I keep doing.
Keep trying to read it.
Because I took my glasses off.
Has anybody had the COVID testing? Let us know. Did y'all like that feeling? It reminds me of RSV when you get tested for RSV. It's not a good
Well,
feeling.
I got the mouth swab.
What was that like?
It wasn't bad at all. It was literally like 2 seconds. I went to Right Time. So you can schedule at Right Time to do it. I know some of the CVS, you can schedule. I'm not sure what test they give, but Right Time does the mouth swab.
Oh.
And I was in and out. It took 5 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
How was it, Danielle? Was it ooh, child? Was it hard and crazy for you? I thought my brain was going to explode. Congratulations, Lila.
You had 2 months already?
I told you Aunt Tori has been under the what is it called? The pandemic restrictions. I didn't even know the baby was born. Welcome, baby.
Right. She's cool, guy.
Yes. Oh, well, good. I'm glad. And so we want to keep all of our principal friends safe.
Yeah.
We know that you guys are working hard. Like we said earlier in the show, I hope you are able to go back and hear it. Baltimore City has done an amazing job. Principal Henson, we love you. You are a community partner, and your school was already rocking and rolling way before COVID happened. But I think when COVID happened, it really showed us who had the oil, who had the sauce, and who had the juice. And so you guys are doing an amazing job. Yeah. Please keep up the great work. And if we can help, we are here. Or virtually. I ain't coming in the building. I'm going to just say through. But I can send some people and I can send some help. I am Google Gaga over Ryan. My whole baby needs. So you don't have diarrhea, neither do I.
No.
We've been tested. We're good. Oh, how about WAP?
What?
A little bit of WAP. I saw this thing. They were giving out COVID tests at the church, and they were doing WAP. I said, WAP? Worship and praise.
Well, I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all see, I stopped breathing for like 2 seconds. I was like, I got stuck. I apologize.
This one,
I just, sometimes
just a little worship and praise.
So I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I had to wait for it. Y'all was holding your breath like I was. I had to wait for it.
That's a little party, little worship out there, little worship and praise.
Okay, I like that.
And COVID tests. So there are some churches that are trying to tie in what's happening socially and bringing people out and say, hey, we got that worship and praise and COVID tests. So if you see that they are standing up.
I don't know. Yeah,
they're standing alone.
I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. I get it. And we should stay ahead and, you got to bring things into the positive. You got to get people's attention. Great marketing to those churches who are using that. Great marketing. Get the people there.
I don't know what you thought it was.
Get the people there.
I don't know what you were talking about. Okay. And so we've talked about school resources. We heard from you guys. We talked about COVID. We hope that we gave you guys some news and resources you can actually use. If you have the EBT card and you're not currently getting your groceries off of Amazon.
I said she thought you were talking about the dance. I did it first, but then I
don't even know of what you're talking about in the name of Yeshua. Oh, doing the WOP.
Well, the sound the same.
It's phonetic.
Yeah.
And so, so $5.99, input your EBT card number on Amazon. It is safe. Don't worry about anybody taking your card number or anything like that. It'll give you Prime for $5.99 a month, which means all your deliveries will be free. You can order anything like Ensures, any of your elderberry needs and things like that right off of Amazon with your EBT. Let me think, anything else?
So make sure you go back through the comments. We dropped a lot of different resources in there. As you know, we like to give you news and resources
you can actually use.
And so go back through the comments. For those who relate to the broadcast, there's information on your technology needs. For those who have students or anybody working virtually, that's there. Also, student learning centers.
15 locations across the city.
Yes, food distribution centers, 86 across the city. And so you can go back through the comments and get all of that great information or watch on replay.
No videos. No, Lala, we good.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. We only want first day of school.
Only want first day of school.
Videos and, again, you can go back watching the replay. Make sure, just drop your comments and resources in if you are in any other counties throughout the state with resources for students, and also tell us about your concerns and comments. We want to hear the good things too about how it's going for you and your students going back to school this 2020 virtual school year, and for those who are hybrid. What was your choices that are given? I know Baltimore City did surveys, Baltimore County did surveys about how parents wanted, their students to return. And so majority, wanted to do virtual.
Listen, my kid not going back at this point. And I know a lot of people feel like it's not going to be ideal, right? But if you already understand that your child will be the first to get sick, my son will get sick in a traditional non-pandemic setting. He ain't going back, and so because that was my personal choice, whatever the district required me to do, I was going to do. And so what I have seen is some parents like, oh no, I'm not sending my kid back, but I want a teacher here to teach my child. Jeannie, make it happen. And so I think that we just got to step up, even as parents and as professionals, and we have to figure out how to be accountable for the parts we can be accountable for. I will give another PSA. If you have a computer, a laptop, a device, a tablet, that you can clean the history and the cookies out of, that you could lend to a child in your community, that you could let them borrow. The children you see in your community. Someone mentioned some of the kids that were out on Monument Street earlier, like, why y'all not in the house at a computer? Well, guess what? Did you ask that child if they needed a computer? Right. Do you have an extra device, a tablet, a cell phone, a computer that you could give that child so that they can go home and sit down and get their work done? Like, let's stand in the gap where we can. The school system is not going to be able to do everything, but we have the ability to stand in the gap where they can.
Yeah,
so that's all I have.
Yeah, donate a computer.
Don't lend a computer.
Yeah. So we're getting down to that time.
We are.
We almost. Oh, this was great. Yeah.
Wow.
Already.
And now it's time to say goodbye.
To all our lovely friends.
Oh, wonderful. So many of them were sitting in on the lessons and were super cooperative with us. And that's awesome. I'm telling you, Baltimore City, listen, I mean, even with our teachers, everybody went back. Professional development has happened. But some of the Bitmoji classrooms that I saw being created, they are, interfacing, using Bitmoji, using emojis and avatars and things like that to reach the children where they are and reach the students. I was like, dang, can you do my website? I mean, really squeezing the oil out of Baltimore City's finest has produced some amazing results. So kudos to you guys. Like I said earlier, we have a student who lost everything in a fire, but even just talking to her mom, I've been talking to her mom every day, hearing how excited she is because of the level of resources we've been able to provide. I'm just like, y'all better go. Get excited. Doing the stinky arm.
The stinky, that is not a dance.
Doing the stinky arm. Doing the stinky arm.
That's called something else.
TikTok and doing the stinky arm. Yeah, I'm that teacher. Judge me if you want.
Oh, anyway, guys,
it's our time. This has been the Connected Corner. Tuesday night, join us here at 8 p.m. You can get news and resources.
You can actually use.
All right, I'm your girl, Tori Rose, the Connected, and
Kiana B. Jones.
Connect with us. Stay connected, and next week we'll be talking about more interesting fun facts. All right, guys, have a great night.
Thank you for joining us. And drop those comment and resources. And go back and she's distracting me.
I see this. I was trying to see how long I could do with
She's distracting me. Good night, y'all. God bless. Good night. Peace.